26. It was announced. Long time no see. Once again, he looked at the man in front of him. Back in Japan, where Saikaira had lived, he had never seen such a bright hair color. The parts touched by light looked pink, giving it a rather cute impression. That impression was reinforced by the man's somewhat youthful facial features. Slightly sleepy-looking round eyes, a small nose and mouth. There were still traces of food around that mouth. Judging purely by appearance, he was probably in his mid-20s. Aresh looked slightly older than his actual age, so he wasn't a great comparison. But this man was definitely older than Norbert. While Saikaira took advantage of the silence to observe him closely, the other man seemed to come back to his senses. Wait! The way he blinked repeatedly was truly childish. From Zoltarn's earlier behavior, it seemed that he was a political director, while the actual central figure in practical affairs as a court mage was this man. What are you saying the moment you meet someone? Introduce yourself first. As expected, the man called Zoltarn was prideful and the type to flatter those above him. But he also seemed perfectly sensible and a hard-working type. As a fellow middle manager, Saikaira felt a strong sense of affinity. All right. Introduction. Yes. The man called Is straightened up and tried to wipe his mouth with his sleeve, only to have a handkerchief smacked into him from the side by Zoltarn. Finally turning back to Saikaira, he gave a sleepy, loose smile. I'm Ist, Deputy Administrator in the Court Mage Division. Apparently he hadn't heard Saikaira's earlier greeting, so Saikaira bowed again and introduced himself for the second time. I'm Saikaira Kondo, Deputy Sub-Administrator of the Accounting Department. Kondo. So Kondo's from accounting, right? The Court Mage Division needs lots of money, but we don't get much budget, so we're poor. So money, ow. Before he could finish begging for funds again, Zoltarn struck him with a silent fist, veins bulging in irritation. Unlike the flashy night orders that hunted magical beasts and handled security, the Mage Division's achievements were harder to see, and research required money. As a result, a lack of funds slowed research, which in turn meant fewer visible results. It was a vicious cycle, and Saikaira, who had recently reorganized the accounting records, knew well how their budget had been steadily cut in recent years. This time, the first prince had been enthusiastic about the Saintess summoning, and with support from aligned nobles, plenty of funds had been allocated. Precisely because of that, Saikaira had planned to make contact with them at this banquet. Standing before Ist, who was being forced forward by the head, Saikaira bent slightly and peered into his face. I can't just hand over budget without reason. However, if you'll grant my request, I'll think about it. What do you say? At such close range, Ist's widened eyes were a warm jade green. Once again, Saikaira thought how colorful the people in this world were, when suddenly his neck was squeezed. No, he was grabbed by the collar and yanked backward. Gui! A sound escaped him that suggested his carotid artery had momentarily stopped. Instead of jade, amethyst filled his vision. Commander Indrak. His voice was thin from the tightened throat, but the man peering down at him clearly heard it, frowning elegantly. Aresh-sama, I can't breathe. His second attempt had more volume. Finally released from the grip at his collar and jaw, Saikaira coughed lightly and adjusted his neckline. Aresh-san, you suddenly went ahead of me. I was surprised. Saintess. Before Aresh could say anything, Yua rushed over, dressed in a white and blue gown. Her neatly braided black hair made her look like a true princess. Saintess. I believe you were scheduled to enter with His Highness. With Yua's arrival, the murmuring crowd understood Camel's words. If this was a rallying banquet before the purification expedition, then the Saintess's entrance would naturally be grand. Sorry, Camel-san. Aresh-san went ahead without me, so I chased after him. Very well. Please return before it becomes a commotion. With the Chancellor Camel and the Third Knight Commander Aresh present, no one crowded in, but many eager gazes hovered restlessly at Yua's appearance. Yes, I'm sorry. Aresh-san. Yua looked up at him hopefully, as if asking him to return with her. But Aresh, dressed in his usual black mantle over white and blue attire, narrowed his amethyst eyes slightly. I'll remain here. The stars of this event are the Saintess and the royal family. I'm not needed. Yua looked uneasy, but members of the Second Knight Order came to escort her back, and she reluctantly left. What's with that face? After Yua left, Norbert and Camel went off to greet other nobles. Zoltarn followed them, and only Aresh, Saikaira, and Ist remained. I don't understand the question. He wondered if dissatisfaction about being choked had shown on his face, but apparently not. A face is a face. And that outfit. Where did you get it? Oh, this? Someone in my department lent it to me. Ah, by face. Do you mean this? Only then did Saikara realize Aresh was referring to his face, plastered with products by Norbert's mother's adoptive mother's maids. The same person who lent me the clothes told me to at least look presentable at events like this, and his family's maids applied various things to my face. Aresh had looked irritated for some time now. Perhaps he disliked the fragrance. Thinking that, Saikara subtly stepped away, but Aresh immediately closed the distance. As the two silently engaged in a quiet game of cat and mouse, Ist tilted his head in confusion when the event began. First, the king entered and spoke of his concern over the miasma damage from the demon forest and the sanctity of the saintess summoning ritual. If you're so concerned, just send out the purification expedition already, Saikara thought, but he kept a serious expression and listened. Then Yua entered, escorted by the first prince, and awkwardly declared her desire to do her best for the people of this country. Thunderous applause filled the hall. Saikara raised his hands in the gesture of applause, but made no sound. Finally, the first prince stepped forward, praised the saintess's virtues, announced he would command the expedition, and began listing the participants. The second knight order under the first prince, the third knight order including Aresh, and the court mages including Ist were named. It was mostly in line with the expedition proposal Saikara had given Camel, but the number of participants was higher than expected. Already mentally recalculating the budget he'd need to revise later, he missed the first prince's next words, and only snapped back to awareness when he noticed the murmuring around him and the eyes directed at him. That concludes the members participating in the expedition. This is a vital mission conducted under the royal family's leadership. Each of you shall participate with honor. With that, the first prince stepped back. A servant announced that they should now enjoy themselves and gather strength, and the royal family and Yua withdrew. Saikara, I didn't expect you to be included as well. Are you all right? Camel returned and spoke to him, and Saikara finally understood what he had missed. I'm accompanying the purification expedition. To repeat, Saikara's body had almost no resistance to mana. Going to the source of the miasma, where even more toxic air filled the space, was nothing short of suicide. You can't. I'll speak to the king. Just as Aresh tried to settle the matter by declaring Saikara's non-participation, a new voice cut in. Yua is going, yet a grown man would run away? The speaker was the first prince himself, Julius, the one who had read Saikara's name moments earlier. Dressed like a storybook prince in gleaming white with gold and blue ornaments and a white mantle, he directed his arrogant blue eyes at Saikara. Behind him stood Yua, blinking in confusion. Age and gender are irrelevant. Unlike the saintess, this one doesn't even have resistance to mana. A place thick with miasma is nothing but danger. The one who pushed for this dangerous expedition shouldn't remain comfortably in safety. He should go himself. The level of danger in the demon forest differed far too greatly between Saikara and everyone else. Aresh argued this, but Julius refused to budge. He clearly disliked the one who had hurried the expedition forward. Even as Camel joined in to try to block Saikara's participation, Ist, still seemingly not listening, tilted his head and turned to Saikara. Konda's going on the expedition too? In Saikara's original plan, he had not included himself. That was why he had planned to contact Ist here and make his request. But, yes, seeing it directly would be fastest. All right, I'll go. Though his voice wasn't loud, the third knight commander instantly turned toward him, eyes wide in disbelief. Along with preparing for the expedition, Saikara braced himself for the lecture that would follow.